Welcome to the first episode of the Kontota Conversations podcast. My name is Dylan. I'm the marketing lead here at Kontota Grooming and Kontota Franchising.
My name is Haas Bigliotti. I'm the CEO of the company.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so this first episode is going to mostly be about getting into Haas's background, what he did before starting Kontota, and we're just going to try to learn, why he chose to start a mobile grooming business, stuff that he's learned from that experience. So the first question, can you talk about what you did before starting Kontota, and how did that experience make you want to start your own business?
Yeah, I used to work in the oil and gas industry for 15 years. I started my career as a completions engineer. God, I feel old now. I don't remember the year, but that's the first thing. Completion engineer. So in the oil and gas industry, there's a process called hydraulic fracturing, and it's essentially pumping water and sand at high pressure to break the rock and extract natural gas.
Is that fracking?
That's called fracking. Okay. Yes, hydraulic fracturing or fracking. That's what I did for the first 2 years of my career. Then I was a field engineer. Then I went to the office. Was basically a reservoir engineer for many years after that. Then I transferred over to the data science role, and I was a data scientist for many more years. So after about 15 years in the oil and gas industry, and just getting tired of all the ups and downs in the industry. Mm-hmm. The oil and gas industry is very unique in terms of, when the price of oil is high, when the price of natural gas is high, everything is great. When the price of oil and gas go down, everything kind of falls apart pretty much. Yeah. Just because there's, you have to have a certain amount of natural gas pricing to break even. You have to have
volatile.
Very volatile, yeah. So I think the natural gas pricing back then, the break-even point was $2, $2.20 to just break even. So if the prices went below $2.20 per MMBTU, then then companies were not making profit. So the layoffs would come, and basically a lot of people would be impacted. Luckily I went through a lot of ups and downs, but I got to a point that I wanted to do more than just being an engineer and working for somebody else. I wanted to start something and scale it. That was my intention.
Did you always, in the back of your mind as you were growing up, kind of going through college, did you always want to start your own business eventually?
Yes, because I was always an entrepreneur by heart. I was always thinking of ideas on investment and how can I do better and whatnot, And that's what I did. I just got tired of the ups and downs. Even though I was very successful, I had a great career, by the way. I still love the oil and gas industry. I think they do a tremendous job, providing energy every single day. But it just got to a point that I wanted to, start a business and scaling that business. And that's how we started. So. Yeah, so as I said, I was successful. I have publications, and I used to teach at different places. I did a lot of consulting. I enjoyed it. I still get messages today that, hey, can you teach this course? Can you teach that course? I'm like,
Do you have a plan B?
I don't have. I don't believe in plan Bs. I believe in plan A. I believe you got to make plan A work. Yeah. So yeah. But anyways, long story short, after getting tired of all the ups and downs in the oil and gas industry, I looked at different models, looked at fitness, looked at the restaurant industry, of course, which is, in my opinion, not a good industry to be in. Horrible industry. Yeah, it's pretty much
You have to have a real passion for that sort of thing. People who start their own restaurants, they're have a background as a chef, or they grow up in a restaurant. And it's very difficult to succeed even then.
Oh yeah. And you look at the profit margins in the restaurant industry, it's just terrible, and you don't want to be in that position where you're doing all this work for essentially nothing, and you can't really grow and scale.
Unless that's what you absolutely love to do.
Exactly. That's a different story. If you just want to have a food truck and just serve food all day, that's a different story. But that truly wasn't my intention. So my intention was...
It's not scalable.
It's not scalable, yeah. So I wanted to find a business that is scalable, and that's not going to change. So the technology is not going to disrupt it 10 years from now. I used to be in the write codes and be in the AI, and now you can use ChatGPT to write codes better than I can. better and faster, like frankly speaking, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, there's some human intelligence still involved, you know, but this is gonna that process of writing codes is gonna get very, very much automated, you know. So you still gonna need people to manage it and whatnot, but you're not gonna have someone just sitting there, you know, like writing every single thing.
It won't be line for line. It won't be character for character.
Yep.
It'll be you put a prompt in, and it'll be able to write like thousands of lines of code for you.
There's going to be prompt engineers, you know. I mean, we
already is.
We already have those guys, you know. They have prompt engineers and what to write and what to feed into this natural language model that we all use.
Yeah.
So with that, you know, I looked at restaurant and fitness and tutoring, different models. And then one day I came across mobile pet grooming, and I was like, what the heck is that? Like, you know, this is like back in 2018, 2019 era. I was like, well, you need to look into that more, you know. And then I started digging into what percentage of people in this country have dogs. And it was like roughly 45% of people have dogs in this country.
It's even higher now after COVID.
It's probably higher now. Yeah, I got to look at the latest statistics. But long story short, a lot of people have dogs, right?
Yeah.
So that's number one. So I was like, well, it's going to be high demand. Do people love their dogs? Absolutely. I mean, if you don't believe me, you know, sometimes I'm not a lawyer by any means, but you can go to divorce court and see people are fighting over their dogs. That's the most important thing in a divorce.
Especially now after COVID, like a bunch of people got pets during that time.
Yeah.
And everybody was working from home, so you know they would get these puppies, and the puppies would get so attached to them when they started trying to go back to work.
Yep.
Then there was a bunch of attachment issues. But no, they treat their dogs like their kids, which that's another thing. Like a lot of like younger people too, like millennial, like Gen Z even. Yeah. A lot of those generations, they don't plan on having kids.
Yep.
So then their dog becomes their kid. They have all this expendable income. Yeah. And they spend it on their dog.
100%. Yeah. I mean, you're 100% right on, and that's pretty much what's been happening. So that's number one, was high demand. Number two, is it scalable? Well, I was like, well, if you want to scale the model, you just keep buying more vans. Yeah. Right? So very scalable model,
doesn't require a lot of real estate either.
Doesn't require a lot of real estate. Now, as you expand and you buy more vans, you just need a warehouse space that you can rent to just park the vans, you know. But it doesn't require you to just build and sign a 10-year commercial lease with someone. You know, it makes it a lot easier.
It's a lot quicker too.
Makes it a lot easier and quicker. You
only have to wait until you have the van.
100%. Yeah. So right now our franchise model, I don't want to get into that I don't want to go into that topic as of now, but I'll just give you a quick hint. Like from the time we sign a franchise agreement until we actually onboard someone and someone starts the business is 90 days. That quickly. If you have to go into the brick and mortar kind of places, it's gonna take at least 6 months to a year to start that business. You know, it's a much lengthier process.
Gotta have people come in, inspect everything, make sure everything's up to code, all this stuff.
Yeah. 100%. So what we got now, it's a scalable model, high demand, and the question that a lot of people don't ask is what's not gonna change 10 years from now. Yeah. You know, people always ask what's gonna change 10 years from now. You know, well, with AI, I mean, it's crazy. You know, things are changing very fast, and these models are becoming much more. They're becoming stronger. Even ChatGPT, look at ChatGPT, a couple years ago compared to now, it's much more efficient. It's better. It does a much better job than 2 years ago, and it's just been 2 years. So just wait another 2 or 3 years. You know. Yeah. So one thing that I don't think is going to change 10 years from now, it's people are going to have dogs, and people need to groom their dogs. And that's not going to, the dog grooming portion is not going to get automated in the next 10 years because the robots are going to be, I truly believe in the robotics, and the robotics might help with some of the functionalities of what we do, but it's not going to completely get rid of the intricate haircuts that our outstanding groomers do every day.
And that requires also on top of that, also, it's like, even if there were dog grooming robots, it's like, are pet parents even going to want that? Because part of having your dog groomed is that dog is able to build that relationship with the groomer. Yep. And so, not a lot of dogs would probably do well being groomed by a robot for the simple fact, dogs require care. They require that emotional connection, that understanding, what's a robot going to do in an emergency if a dog has a medical emergency? So
Yeah.
It might happen at some point, but probably not.
Yeah, not in the
Soon.
not soon. Yeah, this is not going to be in a 2-year project, a 3-year project. Honestly, I don't even see it. This is going to be a long-term
I don't
project.
see it in the next 100 years, honestly. But
I mean, a lot can happen.
That's true. A lot can happen
in 100 years,
but
but at least, I mean, you want to focus on what's not going to change, right? What's not going to change? I think 10 years from now, I mean, even if we do have robots, I think they're going to be supplemental to humans,
Right.
helping out with some of the heavy load that our outstanding groomers do. I don't think it's completely going to replace them, and because it requires so much coordination. I mean, people don't realize, I mean, this is like you're doing hair cutting. You're
Right.
doing, it requires a lot of coordination, a lot of things to feed into that model for it to work by itself.
you have to have that the quick reaction. Also, if a dog is jerking around on the table and you're holding scissors in your hand, you have to be able to, like, in a split second, stop what you're doing for the safety of the dog.
For the safety of the dog. That's right. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, but yeah. So what's not going to change? As you know, in the tech industry, the average lifespan of a tech company is usually like dog years, because technology changes so fast. It changes fast.
That's
I mean,
why
that's
we
part
have
of the
all
process.
these like layoffs and everything happening in the tech industry.
Yep, because of technology.
It's
happens
just part
so
of the
fast.
industry.
It's just part of the industry. That's just part of the industry. But in this industry, like, since we were founded in December of 2019, we haven't had a single layoff here.
Yeah.
Never. And I'm proud to say it. We've never laid anybody off here. We've never said, oh, we don't need your job anymore. We always, I mean, of course, like we've switched transition roles from here to here, and found people different jobs and opportunities, but we've never laid anybody off. So that's huge. And so these are the main reasons why I really got into the model was, scaling the business. It's not going to change 10 years from now, meaning people are going to have dogs. People need to still groom their dogs, and the high demand that, I know it is a high demand, actually made it even better in terms of people stayed at home and a lot more people got dogs. And
for this business model,
for this business model, so we're very successful during that era, and we're still successful today.
Right. COVID was a really big era, because not only was it good for like convenience, like service-based businesses, but the world is completely different after that.
Yeah.
Because all these services that we have now, like grocery delivery, like even just grocery pickup, stuff like that is so commonplace now.
Yeah.
I always think, like, how did this not exist before?
Yeah.
So all that stuff was born out of necessity. But people have realized how convenient it is to have those services, and they don't want to let go of it. Even if it is a little bit more expensive.
It's
people
convenience.
Always pay for convenience.
People always pay for convenience, and so mobile grooming, it is more expensive than traditional salons, not because we're greedier or any of that sort of nature, just because we have a mobile grooming van that costs money. The operational cost is higher, so of course somebody's coming to you, and that's why it's more expensive.
Yeah.
So, but as you said, people love convenience.
Yeah.
People love convenience, and also, what's your time worth? Like you're gonna go take your dog and drop it off at a local mom and pop place or PetSmart or Petco or whatnot, right? Then you have to go pick him back up. If you're a successful person and you got a lot of stuff going on and you don't have time to do all that, you can literally just go online on our website and just book an appointment.
Yeah.
Within 2 minutes, you're done. And we have so many vans running around that we can come to you the same day a lot of times, And so what's your time worth? Is your time, is it like better for you to drop off your dog, have your dog spend all day in a salon, in a cage, and you have cages and cage dryers in these pet salons? We don't. We don't believe in those things. So what's your time worth? And if you can get it done faster, better, more efficient, why not?
Yeah.
And that's what pretty much what mobile like grooming brings.
Right. And on top of that, it also, a lot of dogs that wouldn't be able to be groomed in a traditional salon.
Yep.
They can be groomed in the mobile grooming van simply because it's just them and the groomer alone.
Yeah.
And these dogs that have like medical issues or behavioral issues that just can't handle a traditional salon.
Yep.
We're actually able to service a lot of those dogs. So even like, it's even a bigger, market with mobile grooming, just because it's so much more open to, and so much more adaptable to whatever the dog needs.
Sure.
Versus a traditional salon.
Yeah. I mean, and Yeah, with the mobile store, a lot of these older dogs,
Yeah.
like they couldn't be left in a cage dryer all
No.
day. They're gonna die. I mean, this is like serious health safety issues,
Yeah.
And so yeah, you're 100% right on that one. Yeah.
So we talked about how you decided on mobile pet grooming. When you started Kontota, did you already know you wanted to offer franchising opportunities?
Great question. It's funny you asked this, and I wish you were not here with us from day one. You've been here for 3 years now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we first started day one, the first interview that I had with the first person, it was held in a Starbucks, because we didn't have an office,
groomer?
we didn't have.
You're hiring a groomer?
It was an entry level groomer that we were trying to hire. The first person that I was interviewing from day one, and it was kind of crazy to say this, I told them from day one that we are trying to be the number one mobile pet grooming provider in the United States by 2030. That was always the big, hairy, audacious goal. That was always the vision from day one. Now, did I know exactly what I was going to do every single step of the way? No. Nobody has a complete crystal ball as far as what exactly you're going to do, unless you're a robot, then you can just map it out for the next, But frankly speaking, did I have a big, hairy, audacious goal, like a big vision? Yes, 100%. And I knew back then that, franchising was going to be part of it, because for us to grow, to be nationwide in every single state and city in this country, could we do it with the corporate stores? Sure, we can, but it's going to take a little more time and capital and effort, But with franchising, you're basically giving opportunities to entrepreneurs who want to start a business, but who are afraid to start a business because they have stable jobs, they have stable income, and going out there and starting a business is pretty scary out there, when you don't know what you're doing, So we wanted to give that opportunity to people that want to start a business, but they have no idea how to start. Where do I go this? Where do I go this? I mean, there are horror stories, when people, when Uncle Sam knocks on small businesses' doors and gives them $100,000, hey, you haven't paid your payroll taxes in the amount of $100,000. These are true stories, And the business owner is like, what is a payroll tax?
Right.
Because they have no idea. I mean, this is the first time starting, so they're just doing things on their own, and then 2 years later, 3 years later, they're in trouble now. So the entire point of franchising is to eliminate that fear, to make sure people that onboard with us, they have a step-by-step system and processes for every single thing that we do. So that way it prevents that. So going back to your question, did I always, was I always, did I always want to franchise? I always had in the back of my mind that for us to grow and be nationwide, to reach our big, hairy, audacious goal of being number one by 2030, we have to grow and franchise.
Yeah.
So with that was always part of the process. That was always like part of the plan. Did I have a complete crystal ball? I did not. But did I know where the company was going to end up headed? Absolutely, I did.
Yeah.
So that's why we started that's why we started offering franchising after a couple years, after about 2 or 3 years of being in business.
So how has the experience of starting Kontota changed you as a person? Do you think about things or see the world differently than you did before being a business owner?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a tough question to answer because I see things so much differently now when we first started the business. When you first start a business, your entire goal is you just want to get out of like the industry that you're in, right? I wanted to get out of the oil and gas industry. I wanted to start a business, right? That was your entire goal. But now my mindset is different. My mindset is way different. I feel like I've seen a lot more challenges in the past 5 years that we've been in business. And those challenges have made me a lot stronger.
Yeah.
When I look at 5 years ago, every little thing that happened, oh my God, that's the end of the world. Now I just laugh it off. I mean, the problems that we had 5 years ago, I just laugh about those now. Yeah. Because they're so small in magnitude.
Well, now you know exactly how to face that stuff. Now it's just like, if that happens, it's just like, I know what to do.
Exactly.
It's not new anymore.
It's not new anymore. So that's what happened when you first start a business, especially when this is your first year in business, you don't know what you're doing. When anything happened, you're like,
if it's gonna work out.
Exactly. You're like, oh my God, I'm just gonna quit and just go bankrupt and whatnot. But now that my mindset is completely different, you know, when something happens, I'm always thinking, well, how can we resolve it? How can we find a solution to the problem? You know, and I love it. I was an engineer. That's what I did. I solved problems, and I love solving problems. You know, so any challenges that we have, any problems that we have, whether it's at our store, franchisees, we have franchisees in different cities not calling me every day, or like calling me like 2 or 3 times a week about the different issues and problems that they have. You know.
Yeah.
And it's easy stuff. I can say, oh yeah, just do this, you know, and give him guidance on what to do. And that's huge because like we didn't have that when we first started. When we had a problem, who do I go to? You know?
Yeah, you just have to figure it out.
You just have to figure it out. But now that we have all the systems and processes in place is a lot better, you know. Did I answer that full question or did I miss anything?
I think you got it.
You got
I'll ask you another question before I go to the last question.
Yeah.
I want to know, do you think like your specific experience in the oil and gas industry, like how did that provide you? Do you think having a career in that industry specifically provided you with any specific skills that have led to your success so far as a business owner?
Yeah, I think of course, like you learn in whatever industry you work in, right? First, you earn an income in whatever industry you work in, and also you learn things on leadership, on management, and all those things. But truly, I don't think it prepared me to run a business. You know, it just it had some foundations in that. But really, the most important thing in business, in running a business, is not about how much you know, what tasks you can accomplish, what things you can do. It's all about leadership. And it took me a while to realize this, but everything rises and falls based on leadership. Yeah. So for me to take the company to the next level, to even grow it past 2 people, 5 people, 10 people, 20, 30, and for us to go to have 1,000 people, 2,000, 10,000 people, I have to become a better leader. I have to get better every single day. And that's the law of the lid, which you know the book John Maxwell, right? 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, which I highly recommend everyone to read. That's law of the lid. If your company is not growing, if your company is not scaling, you gotta look at yourself as a leader. Right. What you're lacking. So I always look at myself every day. I'm like, what can I do to get better, to improve every single day, and get better? You know. Yeah. So did the oil and gas industry help me a little bit? Might have helped me a little bit, but really, you know, for the most important concept in business, in my opinion, it's not about even just profitability. It's about leadership. You know, once you learn leadership, once you learn how to become a great leader, you know, you don't have to know every little technicality of every single thing. You know, you can just look at a bigger picture and have a vision for the company, and also tell your people what's in it for them. Yeah. You know. It's also, not just what's in it for you, it's what's in it for them.
Also, I'm just curious, like, growing up, did you feel like there was a lot of pressure on you to follow a specific path, like the traditional, like, go to college, get a degree, get a nice job in the oil and gas industry?
100%.
Do you think that contributed to why, like, do you think you would have tried to start a business earlier if you, if there was a different...
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah, so I'm Persian, so of course, like my family, I mean, in the Persian household, if you're not an engineer, doctor, or whatnot, you know, it just doesn't count, right? But yeah, I mean, of course, there's pressure, like go to college, and I was always a great student. I mean, I was nothing. It wasn't like I didn't want to go to college. I wanted to go to college. I wanted to get an education. I got my bachelor's and master's voluntarily. I don't think it was because my parents told me to go get a college degree, you know. Right. I always wanted to get a college because that's the only path that I knew. You know, I didn't know that, you know, I could be an entrepreneur, I could start a business. I thought those were for when you're much older, you know. Like
you go and you have your first career and then, you know, you retire and like, what should I do with the rest of my life?
Correct.
Then you start a business.
Then you start a business, yeah. So I knew, I guess I didn't know any other path. That was just the only path that I was introduced to is you go become an engineer. And engineering is a pretty respectable job, it's a great job. And, definitely. You know, and you can earn a good living. And I did earn a great living being an engineer, you know. There's nothing wrong with engineers, doctors, lawyers, and whatnot, or what you do. But one thing that I, you know, after being an engineer for many years, I was like, well, let's take it to the next level now, you know. And it's all up to you. I don't recommend everyone to be an entrepreneur. If you're happy and content with what you got, Because being an entrepreneur, you're gonna have your own set of challenges and headaches and whatnot. And if you're not ready for that, don't do it.
Right.
So I don't recommend everyone to just, you all should become an entrepreneur. You all should have your own businesses. That if you're driven, if you have enough pain points to tolerate, do it.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to tolerate those pains, if you don't want to tolerate challenges, if you just want to work for someone and just earn a living, that's totally fine.
We need those people. Entrepreneurs need people to work for them.
Exactly. You need those people as well. So there's nothing wrong with, people say, I want to be an entrepreneur. It's like a fancy, sexy term these days.
Yeah.
But not a lot of people want to put in the work.
Let's be honest, a lot of people call themselves entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
I think Alex Hormozy, he uses the term wantrepreneur.
Yeah.
Which just means you keep talking about you want to start a business, you want to be an entrepreneur, but you're not actually willing to put in the work. To do that.
Yeah, 100%. You got to put in the work. You got to have to make law of sacrifice. You got to make sacrifices.
Yeah.
You're gonna have weekends that are gonna be ruined. You're gonna have weekends that you're not gonna be able to hang out with your family. If you just want to have your weekends off or these days off, or just work for somebody. I don't recommend it to everybody, but if you're driven, if you have really high goals for yourself, if you're ambitious, absolutely go for it. But if you don't want to have, just work for somebody else, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what I did for 15 years before we started this business, and I did very well. I was happy, and
nowadays, like I see a lot on social media, everybody promotes this like hustle culture, like grinding mentality, but like the reality is everybody is different. Everybody wants different things for their lives. Some people do just want to have a nice paying job, have a family, you can be fulfilled by different things. And like we talked about the other day, it's about the trade-off. Like, what are you willing to trade?
Right.
And like, what do you really want out of your life? Not everybody wants to, necessarily have their own business, and you don't have to have your own business if you don't want to.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you say, like it's definitely not for everybody. I think a lot of people, they might want to have their own business or something, and maybe they'll do it for a little bit, but I think it's a lot more difficult than people make it out to be, because you don't ever see like all of the bad. People only share the good.
The good stuff.
So you only hear about the people who are successful,
who have made it successful. But for all the successful people, there are also a lot of unsuccessful people.
And then also there's the whole like overnight success thing, where it's somebody's actually been working on this for 10 years and they've just now gotten this success, but everybody only sees that point in between when they became successful until now, and so they're like, oh, it happened that fast, but they don't see all the time and effort they put in. So I really believe that you can be successful at almost anything you want to do. It's just about actually committing to it and showing up day after day. Because
100%.
Eventually you're going to be in the game longer than everybody else who started with you.
And who quit.
And who quit. And you're going to win. So
100%. Yeah, you're wrong. This is, I agree with you 100%. And frankly speaking, I always tell people, do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
If you're not happy, like I wasn't happy at the end, like towards the end of my career in the oil and gas, I wasn't happy. So I'm like, well, why don't we just do something that makes me happy?
What do you have to lose at that point?
What I have to lose? I'm like, I'll just try it. If it doesn't work out, then it doesn't. But I'm
always go back.
I can always go back. I'm very like tenacious and driven, so I don't see myself ever going back to the oil and gas industry. Or frankly speaking, I'll just keep growing what we have here. We have great things going on here. We've accomplished great things, but you just gotta look at your life. Are you happy or you're not? And if you're not happy, then you gotta look at the root cause. What is it? Is it you're not making enough money? Is it you don't have love in your life? Is it you don't have any relationships in your life? Is it like, what is it that's making you unhappy? And then tackle those things that make you unhappy. And if you're driven, if you really want to put in the work and work hard for a long period of time, consistently, then entrepreneurship is for you.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to deal with that, if you don't want to, as you said, be consistent and go through a lot of challenges and pains, then don't do it.
I think you brought up a good point too about like figuring out what why you're not happy. I think maybe some people are unhappy in their job, in their current job, and they think, oh, well, starting my own business will make me happy, or like that's gonna fix all your problems.
Yep.
But most of the time it's something else completely. Like maybe you just are in the wrong job for you.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily need to be an entrepreneur
Yep.
to be happy, but maybe you need to look at a different career field or something.
Yeah.
So
Look at
it really
it.
depends on the person.
Yeah, that's 100% right on. But at least one thing that franchising, that I truly believe in franchising myself, that it really eliminates is all the risk that you're gonna take as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So when you
Not
have your
completely,
own,
but a lot of it.
a lot of not yeah, just yeah, it's gonna remove the majority of the risk,
You don't have to
because
guess.
you don't have to guess on what to do and what not to do. You don't have to worry about, oh, what system do I use? How do I run my payroll? How do I, all these things are given to you pretty much in the first couple of months, so you can apply it and build a strong foundation for your company.
Yeah.
And once you get going, and that's really the biggest thing. A lot of the things when I look at our company compared to 5 years ago, like a lot of the mistakes that we learned is just not knowing about like certain things. But now that we know about it, all these things, we're so much better. I joke people all the time about this. Like when we started 5 years ago, I wouldn't want to be here.
Yeah.
We're terrible as a company. We're terrible. But now we're so much better.
Yeah.
So from every angle that you look at it, do we still have challenges and issues? Sure, we do. Every company does. No matter how big you get, whether you're $1 billion company, 10 billion, 100 billion, or $1 trillion company, you're gonna have issues. You're gonna have problems.
Of just being a human being.
Just also part of business.
Yeah.
You're gonna have challenges, but we're so much better just because we've always had this mindset of constantly improving, constantly making things better, and constantly aching to make things better. And I think everybody shares the same thoughts with me here. A lot of the employees that we have, they all always have good ideas too. Why don't we do this? Why don't we try that? Why don't we try that? And it just little things that you change and make things better is gonna compound and have a huge impact over time.
Yeah. So last question.
Yep.
Knowing what you know now, would you have done anything differently? And what advice would you give your younger self, like Haas?
Yeah. I would.
7 years ago.
Yeah, it's a good question, Dylan. I would have told myself to start this earlier.
Yeah.
That's the only regret that I have. I don't have any other regrets in terms of what we've done, what we've accomplished here.
Yeah.
I would have certainly would have started this earlier.
Time is your biggest
Yeah,
asset.
because I spent 15 years in the oil and gas industry. Had I known what truly would have made me happy back then, I would have just started this, maybe worked for a few years, 2, 3, 4, whatever, maybe 5 years at most, and then just invested all that money in starting this business. That's what I would have. That's the only regret that I have, that I didn't start it sooner,
Yeah.
But it's just live and learn. I mean, you don't have a crystal ball.
Right.
But so that's really the only regret that I have, if I have to be brutally honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't have Samantha back then, so she was your first groomer.
That's correct. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Thank you guys for watching the Kontota Conversations. If you guys enjoyed it, click on the thumbs up button, or push the thumbs up button.
Subscribe.
Subscribe to the channel.
This will be going on.
We'll have more
YouTube.
exciting videos coming up.